Hey there, my name is Lost in Violet, and in today's episode, we're going to be building a brand new dairy farm on our survival Minecraft world. I actually can't decide where I want to put it. Last time we did a bit of terraining on the edge of the wheat field, and I decided after I posted the video to make a little bit of a hill here that connected up to where the wheat is, but as if the water had carved through it over time. And now I can't decide where I want the dairy farm to actually sit. Our first option is next to this river. The positives for this build site is that it's next to the water, which means that realistically, if you're going to be storing liquid in a time before refrigeration is invented, you're going to want water or ice and water to make sure the liquid's cool. So I think that if we had the dairy farm here, we could set up some sort of like water channel, just siphoning off a bit of the river to keep our stores cold. So right here is option 1. Option 2 is up here. Now the pros of being up on a hill is that obviously it's going to be able to be seen a lot better than if a house were lower down in the forest. Example A is like it's easier to see this farmhouse because it's lifted up by the terrain, whereas like the botanist house is very obscured by the trees, which is kind of by design. However, as cool as it would be to show off this build and put it on the tallest area of this little plot of land, I believe I'm gonna go with this option next to the river. I just think it would make a lot more sense to have the water super accessible to the dairy building, and I think putting it up on the hill will mess with the build that I've already planned out. The terrain difference is like 3 blocks or so, and I don't want to have to adjust the doorway height or have it look odd from a certain angle. So I think we're gonna go with next to the river. Unfortunately, I don't have all of the materials yet for this build. It's gonna require a lot of mossy cobblestone, a lot of birch logs and planks, some stone bricks, some dark oak wood for like fences and slabs and stairs and all that, and even a bit of spruce. So I'm gonna have to cut down some trees and also get a bit more mossy cobblestone crafted, because obviously we have a ton of moss behind me in the moss farm, but I have a lot of cobblestone sitting around that could very easily become mossy cobblestone. This wall is something I did since last time, and I kind of like it. I like the block palette, but I don't like how close together the walls are on this road. I think it should be fairly wide so that like carriages and wagons and shipments can make their way into the city without feeling like the road is super narrow. I have a lot of other things to show you as well before we get started on this build. Behind me, I've expanded our custom tree forest quite a bit. I created this kind of winding pathway that follows the wall, trying to make it super organic, and I added in lots of little younger trees to sort of fill out the forest and make it feel denser and more realistic. And I also added in some like visible roots over the path, because out here I think there's a bit less foot traffic and cart and wagon traffic, so the pathway can be a little rougher. Not only did I expand this part of the forest, but I also expanded our birch forest, and I added in a lot more ground cover, and I put a huge patch of rose bushes and poppies on the outskirts of the roses and just bone mealed it and made it look really wild. This area I think has seen the most love. I could use a bit more ground cover over here, and obviously like back here it kind of tapers off, but I think it is a good like sample for how this region is going to look. The next thing I wanted to show you is that I started building the mountain that will rise up behind this house and this other hill, and maybe it'll meet it behind there. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, we started this. So now my view out my kitchen window no longer is the beautiful open ocean. It is instead a wall of dirt. But that's okay because I built these trellises, and the trellises are just purely for decoration. I was considering letting the bees out and maybe they would come and visit the flowers and make honey from them, but instead of doing that, I decided to fully enclose the redstone on the beehive with more copper and stone bricks, and then once they oxidize a little bit to match the front, I'm gonna wax them because we have so much honeycomb. This is after I completely cleared this out a couple of days ago, so it's already like filling up a ton. I swapped out one of the dispensers that had bottles in it for shears. This used to have bottles, so now only this dispenser has bottles because we need beeswax a lot more than we need honey, because we already have almost a stack and a half of honey blocks, I believe, and I need to make so many candles and to wax so much copper. Another thing I can show you from since last time is this zombie horse that's next to me. She does not have a name yet. I've actually seen like 4 of these since the spear update, but I have not been able to rescue any of them in time. But this beautiful mare here, I need to decide a name for her. I would actually love if you have a name suggestion, if you could leave it in the comments. I think I want it to be plant or tree themed, something naturey, but if you think of a name for her, please let me know. I would love any suggestions you might have. I also realized that this horse behind me that I have had here for so long, I've never given him a name. It's not a wonderful horse, like it's not super fast, and I think it can just barely jump 2 blocks, so it's really not that insane of a horse. But I think I also want to give him a name because he currently has no name. So if you have like a silly, whimsical name for him, let me know. I think like a funny human name would be really, like if I named him Craig or something, but not Craig. Just like, if you think of anything fun for him, you could also leave that down below. That would be much appreciated. Some other things we did to the house, because I was giving the back of the base a lot more attention now that I was building this mountain. I thought the back wall looked really empty, so I added in this trailing dead vine. So it matches the front of the house and it's just growing up, and then a lot of lichen and pale moss underneath it. And I also added a balcony because a lot of the time I would be sneaking out of this window and I turned it into a sliding door so that I could go out the balcony and fly into our beautiful world. This is a very talking heavy episode so far, but I do have a couple more things to tell you and I think you will enjoy them. The first thing is you may notice that the game is a lot darker, and that's because I've decided to play at 45% brightness. And it makes the game a lot scarier, but it also makes it a lot more immersive. At night, it really feels like it's nighttime, and I think that there's a lot of value in that because of the way that I want to play the game. I want it to be very realistic, and oh my gosh, yes, you see how dark it's getting and the sun hasn't even fully set. The darkness of the game combined with the atmospheric mod that I got, which is listed in the description, I've adjusted the settings so that there are more stars, that we get comets zipping by, little shooting stars, and that we have like a night haze. You see how like foggy it is in the distance? It's like, I set it to be a purple color, so it looks like a really just beautiful summer night. And the haze, just like as you look at the setting sun, it just makes it so beautiful and alive. We don't have shaders on obviously, but it kind of feels like we do. And there's no like gameplay lagginess as a result of having this atmospheric mod. I just think it brings so much magic to the world. It makes it look so alive, and it doesn't detract from the vanilla look of the game, the appearance of the game, but it just makes it so much more beautiful and whimsical. We also have dynamic lighting, of course, which is really showing with the fireflies. If I hold a torch, it'll look like I'm actually holding a torch as I walk. But don't you just love how like it's literally pitch dark out here? It's so difficult to see. I'm very caught between wanting to put some hidden lighting out in this forest, like a bit of lichen around. Ouch! See, I can't even tell that mobs are sneaking up on me because it's so dark out here. I can't decide if I want to put hidden lighting out in the woods or if I just want to leave it how it is. Obviously, things can sneak up on me a lot more easily, but I also think that realistically this forest wouldn't be lit up. Like maybe the path would be lit up, but the trees wouldn't. So maybe I can add in some like street lamps or something. But I feel like street lamps would only really be prominent in the cities or this main road close to the city, not out here. Many things to think about. I thought I was done yapping, but I do have one more thing to show you, and that is this dead tree here. This tree I built it initially planning to put leaves on it, but then I thought it looked really striking. I decided to leave it without leaves. Pun unintended. Oh, hi there. Oh my gosh. I am not a fan of this individual. Hey, get over here. That was very close. I think my next move with this tree is to string up some banners and get some leads and string them between branches and make it look like the tree has been adorned in fabric and flags and banners, and have this be like, not quite an amphitheater, but just a community space. Maybe some seating or some relics left behind, maybe a statue. And something else that I thought would be really cool, since I do want to go exploring soon, is to have a way to get home that is like tied to the heart of this place that I live. And so I thought about putting a lodestone in the heart of this tree so that whenever I leave this island, I can make my way back home with this compass. So I just need to decide where to bury it. I think I'll put it under here. Maybe here, honestly. I don't want it to be visible from the outside. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I right click, oh, very cool. Okay, I'm gonna just put moss in here. Now, wherever I go on this island, this compass will always point back to this tree and to my home, which I think is cool, like lore-wise, but also functionality-wise, because if you're playing on a server, you can get home from looking at the player locator bar, and you can always look at your coordinates, but I think it's more fun to play like this. I've never actually used a lodestone once in my life, so I'm excited to have one. But yeah, I've done so much yapping. I think that it is time for a little building montage, and I'm gonna get started on the dairy. I'll check in with you once we've got that built. Our build is complete. Just the exterior though, I have not done the interior of this building yet. I couldn't decide which way I wanted the staircase to go because in my creative world, I had initially had it on this side of the downstairs when you come in the door, but I decided to have the big sliding door here because more likely than not, this will be the entrance to the pasture. This is the staircase, will be the staircase down to the basement. I have to reverse it. But up here we have the living quarters and then an attic above that, which could be storage or more living quarters. I had a lot of fun building this. When I planned it out in my creative world, I had a lot less life and foliage on all of the walls, but I thought that it would just really make the building look like it had been here for years and that life had just slowly crept in, which is my favorite way to build. Now, I didn't really add vines to this middle section on the second floor, but we did do some vines over here. I hope you like this. I used green stained glass to indicate like that a window was in shadow, but also that it was maybe a little bit covered in moss. This is more so of a shadow because the rest of the windows are white up there, but this, like, maybe they're kind of grungy over time. And then we got this sliding door made of trapdoors. It's obviously like not functional, but I think leaving it cracked to act as a secondary door is nice. I really love this staircase that I came up with. I feel like if you're in an old building, a staircase is not super symmetrical, like they've sag over time or like break down, and like this one sort of just gently curves up. These are actual stair blocks, but here is a full block and a slab, so it just kind of slowly swoops upward. I did the same thing here. I really want to turn left when I come up these stairs, so I'm just torn on how I should organize this staircase. Maybe I could push this one against this far wall, but then there's the issue of how am I gonna siphon the river water inside. I was thinking of making a channel through here. So many things to think about always. But I don't think I'm going to do the interior of this build because I like to just let things sit for a little while before I do the decoration inside. Getting all of that done in a concise video is sort of difficult, so I might try a couple things and see how you guys like them, if you have any suggestions. This is going to be like a storage area, but most of the storage is going to be down below in the cellar. When I made some changes to the world, I got that atmospheric mod that I was telling you about, which I think I actually have switched off at the moment. Let me see. If I press B, it opens the menu. There we go. Now they're all on. Just see how the sky's so much bluer? It's really pretty. But I got a texture pack. The texture pack that I got was better crops. And so when you grow carrots and beets and potatoes, you can actually see the vegetable as it's growing out of the ground. It's 3D, like right here you can see the beets, which I think is really pretty. I don't know if I like how it makes the wheat look. This is the wheat with the texture pack, and this is wheat without the texture pack. It's slightly shorter, but it's a lot lighter and just less saturated, and I think it looks better, but I do think that I prefer to have this better crops mod, and I can live with the wheat being a darker color. I wanted to make my own texture pack for so long, but it is so much work, and I feel like I could never be happy with all the assets, but maybe I'll start it if I have some free time, which I definitely don't, but I'll think about it. Anyway, I hope you like this build. I know that this whole area is sort of temporarily messy and full of random trees growing and planned out trees everywhere. Where there's a birch column, I'm going to put a fancy birch tree. However, I think that might be all for this episode. I know it was very chatty and I explained a lot of things that I'd done since last time, but I thought it was important to go over them and to let you guys in on what I was thinking about the world. And I feel like it sort of lends itself to the way that I want to build. Like, I want these buildings to look realistic. I want them to show the effects of time. I want to explore how nature kind of creeps into what mankind makes. And out in this more rural area of my island kingdom, I think that is taking place a lot more prevalently than it will be in the city. So I'm just trying to enjoy that build style while we're still out here. But yeah, if you have suggestions for like how to approach the floor, because right here it's stone, and if I break this block, it'll expose it on the outside. So if you have suggestions on like how to frame these windows, or maybe a different place for the staircase, because this is currently very tedious. This is just floating here. This one is like not, I feel like it's just going the wrong way. This staircase simply feels like it's winding the wrong way, and I don't know why that is. We definitely still have to move cows into this place and to build some pastures, but I might be working on that in between this episode and the next episode. But I hope you enjoyed the building montage, and I hope you're as excited as I am about all the exciting things to come in this world. I'm excited for my next project. It was lovely to have you along on this adventure as I continue to expand my survival world and build up this kingdom house by house. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day.